Over the history of Yu-Gi-Oh, there has been some incredibly scary and powerful cards. Ranging from ridiculously high stats all the way to outrageous effects, Yu-Gi-Oh can genuinely take you through the ringer when it comes to powerful Yu-Gi-Oh monsters. These cards absolutely dominated their particular time, but now they're not so good anymore. In today's video, I'm going to be covering over 10 more powerful Yu-Gi-Oh monsters that are now completely useless in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, again, we're only going to be using main decked Yu-Gi-Oh monsters to make this difficult for me. And if you think that there's a card that I missed, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section. Without further ado, class, let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Now, in our last top 10 powerful monsters that are useless in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, we hit a huge milestone. It was actually a very well-liked video and well-received. So if these are the type of videos that you guys want to see on this channel, do your big dog a favor. Comment down below in the comment section what are some powerful monsters that are now useless in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Share this video with a friend and like this video. It really does help. Now, the criteria here is going to be pretty simple. We're going to be focusing on some of the strongest and most powerful game-changing Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are now completely useless. Sometimes, in theory, these cards can seem really good in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but when you actually put them to practice, they fall flat. Now, another time, Boomer Me wants to go back and look at some really powerful cards. I still think that Lajin, Mystical Genie of Lamp, and Spear Dragon should be honorable mentions. For their time, those cards were absolutely insane. But in order to encapsulate the importance of this video, we're going to be looking at absolutely game-changing cards. Monsters that were so good, their stats or effects are undeniable. And now, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, these cards have fallen off a map. So it's actually no surprise when I start off this list with Breaker the Magical Warrior. Breaker the Magical Warrior is actually an incredible card and was an incredible card for multiple years. When it was normal summoned, it gained a spell counter, and by using that spell counter, you can destroy one spell or trap card on the field. Spell and trap removal was not as easy to come by. Of course, Heavy Storm has been out since Metal Raiders, but that card was limited and sometimes banned. There's also Mystical Space Typhoon, a card that's like Breaker the Magical Warrior, but unfortunately that card was also limited. Breaker the Magical Warrior allowed you to be able to get rid of pesky trap cards like Sakuretsu Armor and Mirror Force, and can also force your opponent into really bad decisions when it comes to cards like Ring of Destruction and Torrential Tribute. The card for its time was absolutely ridiculous, but what happened to Breaker the Magical Warrior isn't really a surprise. Breaker needing to be normal summoned, needing to get a spell counter, it can only destroy one spell or trap card on the field. It's not going to last in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Breaker isn't the only level 4 normal summonable monster that has fell to the wayside. Another really powerful level 4 monster was Exile Force. Now, Exile Force, like Breaker the Magical Warrior, was so powerful that it had to be hit on the ban list. It was limited at one point in time. Exile Force allows you to be able to tribute itself to be able to destroy any monster on the field. Unfortunately for Exile Force, its time has definitely came. While there are times players could justify using their normal summon to get rid of an opponent's card, the problem with Exile Force is that it just isn't versatile enough. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh cards do so many things at one point in time. Just being able to destroy a monster on the field without going into your battle phase seems like a bad effect for modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Ironically though, the next card we're going to talk about could easily summon Exile Force to your side of the field and other level 4 monsters. Summoner Monk was undeniably one of the best cards in the entire game. What this card does is that you can discard one spell card from your hand to special summon a level 4 monster from your deck. Summoner Monk was used alongside of a powerful monster named Rescue Cat, which could summon other monsters from your deck. Being able to summon any level 4 monster from your deck eventually made this card a prime target for Exceed Summon Yu-Gi-Oh strategies. And that's what pretty much brings us to our modern problem with Summoner Monk. Yes, this card still could be used, but the problem with Summoner Monk is that it costs way too many resources to potentially get stopped. To finish off our level 4 monsters, another very powerful card is Thunder King Ryo. Now, Thunder King Ryo could still be considered monstrous to this day. While it's on the field, neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand, and then when the opponent special summons a monster, you can tribute this card to negate the summon. You see, Thunder King Ryo can't stop the summons of monsters that activate, meaning that if the summon is through a monster effect, spell card, or trap card, Thunder King Ryo can't stop. But Thunder King Ryo can still stop synchros, exceeds, contact fusions, and even links, making Thunder King Ryo technically still a powerhouse in today's Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially when you combine that it can stop a player from searching. But the problem with Thunder King Ryo is that it's not good enough. Unfortunately, again, Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards need to be able to do multiple things, and Thunder King Ryo can only be really effective when you're already in a winning position. 1900 attack was relatively strong in old school Yu-Gi-Oh!, but not only can players easily special summon monsters by activating card effects, it's not really that hard for them to summon a monster stronger than 1900 or force Thunder King Ryo's effect and then continue to special summon. The card can just simply be overwhelmed. Now moving to the next card, you guys actually mentioned this card in our last video. Yatagaratu is a completely useless card in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! For the people that don't know the horrors of Yatagaratu, this card is a walking war crime and is arguably the reason why we have a ban list in the first place. To be fair, it's almost guaranteed we were going to get one anyways, but what Yatagaratu does is that when it inflicts damage to your opponent, they can't draw for that turn. Players combine this powerful spirit monster effect with the card called Chaos Emperor Dragon, and before its errata, it would send all cards to the graveyard, cards like Sengan and Witch of the Black Forest, which would essentially add Yatagaratu to your hand. Yatagaratu, like all of the other cards I just mentioned before, requires your normal summon. And in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, your normal summon needs to be something significant. It oftentimes is the play starter for your entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck to get things going. So in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, you actually sacrifice your normal summon for your opponent not to be able to draw. You combine that with the knowledge that in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, graveyard effects are very prevalent, as well as your opponent only needing one card to be able to combo off. You're gonna have a very hard time getting rid of all of your opponent's cards without stopping you and preventing them from being able to use their graveyard. Yatagaratu just simply isn't a good Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. And of course, class, I can't go a single video without mentioning something from TheCaliEffect.com. We now have the Age of Millennium playmats in rubber, and they are crazy. When I made the cloth version of this mat, I was thinking preem content. But what I didn't know is that players wanted a single player rubber version, and here you have it. It's pretty dope. Of course, big dog, I have both an A side and a B side. Go ahead and get your Age of Millennium puzzle mats, as well as your Age of Millennium necklace mats as well. But moving forward into more powerful monsters that are completely useless in Yu-Gi-Oh! One of my favorite monsters of all time is easily Jinszo. Jinszo not only has some pretty decent attack and defense stats, it has a crazy effect to back it up. While it is on the field, the effects of trap cards are negated, and trap cards cannot be activated. This got rid of some incredibly powerful trap cards. I mentioned them before: Sakuretsu Armor, Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, and Torrential Tribute were normally the prime targets. But there were also some other niche trap cards in the game that Jinszo did take care of. And another bonus thing is that Jinszo would take care of your own traps, and sometimes that could be used to your benefit. When you use Call of the Hunted to special summon Jinszo back to your side of the field, he is no longer affected by the effects of Call of the Hunted. This means that when your opponent does get rid of the card, Jinszo stays on the field. Now, Jinszo was crazy powerful, but the need for Jinszo has definitely declined. I personally think that Konami has completely dropped the ball when it comes to trap cards. The whole aesthetic of having a way to counter a player belongs to trap cards, and it's been given to just about everything else. Unfortunately, that has killed Jinszo's need to be viable in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game and has almost made him useless in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! The same thing could be said for another niche monster in Malefic Stardust Dragon. Now, this card is a pretty cool card that allows you to be able to banish Stardust Dragon from your deck to summon it to the side of the field. It then protects all of your field spells. Previously, this was used in decks like Gravekeepers to be able to protect Necro Valley. It also was a 2500 attack monster, so it was the ace in the hole for Gravekeeper strategies. Now, there are a few huge problems with Malefic Stardust Dragon in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Malefic Stardust Dragon only protects your opponent from destroying your field spell cards. It doesn't stop your opponent from doing other things to it. This is really unfortunate because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has definitely evolved past just destruction. But hypothetically, even if destruction was the wave, Malefic Stardust Dragon is ironically way too weak in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I know I sound like a boomer, but back in our days, we used to have to work for those really strong attack monsters. And monsters like Cyber Dragon and Malefic Stardust Dragon had at least some type of restriction. But now in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, it's almost no problem to summon a monster stronger than 2500 attack, or have a card effect to get rid of Malefic Stardust Dragon on your way to getting rid of powerful field spells. There's also a card that could be considered way more powerful than Malefic Stardust Dragon in Haino Kagasuchi. Now, spirit monsters were some of my favorite monsters of all time, and Haino Kagasuchi was crazy. When it inflicted damage to your opponent must discard all cards from their hand. This card was easily one of the most game-winning Yu-Gi-Oh cards and was a win condition back in its day. The problem with Haino Kagasuchi is, well, there's multiple problems. First is that Haino Kagasuchi cannot be special summoned, meaning that you're actually going to have to tribute 2 monsters from your hand to summon this monster. If you guys remember what I said about your normal summon being almost everything, Haino Kagasuchi kind of gets in the way and requires you to use your normal summon to summon. But even if it were to be summoned, and even if it were to get its effect, just like I said with Yatagaratu, there are so many graveyard card effects that your opponent could benefit from. Sometimes inflicting damage with this card could be to your own detriment. We haven't even gotten to the part where there are so many cards to stop this effect from happening, and the fact that Haino Kagasuchi returns to the hand at the end of the turn. Just quite a bit of drawbacks for a card that has to inflict damage to be able to get rid of your opponent's hand. Now, the last 2 cards are actually even stronger than every other card I've said on this list. I'm confident that there's going to be somebody that's going to say that these cards can still work, and I genuinely hope they can still work because they're really fun. Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, is definitely one of them. It can summon itself by banishing a light and dark monster from the graveyard, and then it has 2 effects. If it destroys a monster by battle, it can attack again, or at the cost of not being able to attack, it can banish any monster on the field. The fact that we say that this card is useless in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, where back in its day it was one of the strongest cards in the history of the game, is actually crazy. If anything, it shows how far we've came in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, Blackluster Soldier can be broken down as not a great Yu-Gi-Oh card in 2 different phases. First is requiring both a light and a dark monster in the graveyard. Though in modern Yu-Gi-Oh it has become a lot easier to get those cards into the graveyard, it's almost pointless to do, because in modern Yu-Gi-Oh there is even easier ways to summon more powerful cards. And that brings us to our next problem with Blackluster Soldier. While the card effects aren't necessarily bad, Blackluster Soldier's effects aren't necessarily strong anymore either. Just being able to banish 1 card and you can't attack, and just being able to attack twice, those are almost trivial in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And the last card here will absolutely blow your mind. It's simply because this card reads as such a good Yu-Gi-Oh card, you would think that it would be crazy strong. Now, this monster is particularly dangerous because it ruins your opponent's extra deck. And it also is a monster that does have a bit of versatility. This card is True King Lethosagam the Disaster. Now, True King Lethosagam the Disaster has an incredibly good effect. By destroying 2 monsters on the field or hand, including at least 1 Earth monster, you get to summon this card. And if both of the monsters you destroyed were Earth, you can look at your opponent's extra deck and banish 3 cards with different names from their deck. This card is crazy strong, even against some of the most powerful Yu-Gi-Oh strategies this day. And Earth monsters have been getting a litany of support. There's actually quite a few strong Earth strategies in the game. So why is Lethosagam a useless card? Well, Lethosagam only really works on the opening turns. Because a player can just spam out their extra deck as fast as possible, Lethosagam doesn't really have the time to be able to get rid of those important cards if you're not the starting player. The next big thing is that Lethosagam requires not 1, but 2 Earth monsters. This pretty much means that this card is essentially a 3-card combo, not necessarily reliable even in Earth-based Yu-Gi-Oh decks. And it's especially seen like that because most Earth Yu-Gi-Oh decks would probably be better off using those resources to be able to make a Yu-Gi-Oh board that would prevent your opponent from going into the extra deck in the first place. I do think one of the hidden things about True King Lethosagam is that if it's destroyed by a card effect, you get to summon a non-Earth worm monster from your graveyard. But until we get a powerful, dominantly Earth worm deck that benefits from being destroyed, I don't think that this card will ever be good in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's all that I have for 10 more powerful monsters that are useless in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, if you want to see more videos like this, you already know what to do. Like, post down below, share with a friend, and of course help your teachers fund. Don't be a slifer slacker, go to TheCaliEffect.com. Until then, big dogs, make sure to check out these videos on your screen so I can catch you on the next one.